If you're tuning in from any part of Peninsular Malaysia and also across the enchanting waters of the South China Sea in Sabah and Sarawak, and also if you're tuning into the show from any part of the 24 time zones worldwide via RTM Click, I bid you good afternoon, good evening as the case may be. I'm Anil on the mic. It's 11:15 and it's W Talk Tuesdays. And as usual, I have the privilege of speaking to inspirational women who have trailblazed the paths that they've chosen and made the name for themselves, and also want to uplift other women as well, who want to walk the same path that they've walked. And today we got a very interesting topic on W Talk. We're going to talk about shaping the marketing landscape. You know, marketing, or rather I should say effective marketing, is really the cornerstone for any organization, because it is the activity of conveying a message effectively and connecting your brand's message effectively to your audience, as opposed to sales, which is just purely a transaction. And to help us understand that, I have in the studios our special guest, Anabelle Co-Martinent, who is a Chief Marketing Officer for one of the leading organizations in the country, and she's here in TRAXXfm to speak to us today on our topic. Anabelle, good morning.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure is ours. Pleasure is ours. And I was told by yourself that you are no stranger to the microphone, so
Yes.
I think today's conversation is going to be amazing, huh?
I know. It's nice to be back in a radio station.
Yeah. It's always nice to speak into the microphone, especially when you have an opportunity to speak to people out there and
Yes.
inspire them,
Yes.
give them hope, all right?
Yes.
Because one thing I love about what I do as a radio announcer is that people out there may not have friends, people to talk to. And as effective storytellers, effective radio announcers.
Yes, and you never know who you touch, right? So you're
Exactly.
sending out the message out there, hoping that people are listening, learning from it, maybe being inspired. So yeah, continue what you do, because
Absolutely.
it touches a lot of lives.
Especially when you receive a phone call from someone saying that, you know, you made my day and you made an impact. And I'm sure you're going to do the same thing as well.
Yes.
So to start off, perhaps you can, give us an overview of your professional journey, how you ended up where you're at right now.
Okay, well, that's a long story. Let's make it short.
Sure.
I was born in the Philippines from a Chinese family, and all the Chinese there mostly run business. So after I graduated a double degree, psychology and marketing, I knew I wanted to get into marketing. But like all good little girls, I went to the bank, worked at the bank first, eventually got tired of it, and I got into tech. So I worked for Hewlett Packard, I worked for Nokia back in the Philippines, and I really enjoyed it. And I did purely marketing. So that gave me an insight to the world of marketing, not just in the Philippines, but also in Southeast Asia. And because of that, I had a lot of trips to Singapore, and eventually got married in Singapore and moved to Malaysia. So Kuala Lumpur has been my home for the last 17 years. It's an amazing country, perfectly imperfect for me.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to work for Microsoft at the Twin Towers at that time, also doing marketing. So marketing has always been the lifeblood of what I enjoy doing. I enjoy marketing their products, the best products of these tech industries. But eventually, as you grow older, I started a family. I realized that I wanted to do marketing for myself and not anymore for others. So that's when I left tech and eventually joined BFM. I did a bit of producing shows, so I was on your side at some point in time. And then eventually I started my own company. So started several brands in the food and beverage, so La Juicer, Super Saigon, and all these. And eventually, after 10 years, growing these brands, growing a couple of outlets, have a few hundred employees, I realized, okay, on to the next marketing journey. And so that now what I do is I do marketing for beauty brands, for a wellness brand, and I created this platform, which is to market to women the message that you can do it, you are enough. So it's called Fearless Female. It's a media platform on Instagram, and I wanted to entertain, in a way, lifestyle and also meaningful conversations with women. And I'm not the only one. There are so many women out there who have inspirational things.
Absolutely.
So every single time there's an opportunity like this one, if there's a chance to speak to other women and say, hey, look, I know you're a woman, you're at home right now. It sounds crazy that you want to start something. Let me remind you, you're not crazy. You're a woman. You're capable. And when I started my first company back then, 10 years ago, in my apartment in Mont Kiara, I felt like I was a crazy woman, like creating a juice brand on my own.
Yeah.
Who are you? The imposter syndrome comes in. Who are you? Where? How far do you think this is gonna go? But if you let that stop you, then you'll never know. So always start and fail. Start again.
Right, right. You know, I can resonate to that myself because just like how you have been involved in marketing, I was in sales when I first started out. My first ever job was in sales, and then I just went on. I was in tech as well. And then at one point in my life, I realized, I'm selling for other people. I can just go pick anything up, a product off the streets, and I can start selling it on my own. And then I felt, hey, in actual fact, I can sell myself because I am a personality myself. I'm a product by myself, and I bring my persona to the table, and I can do great things.
Yeah, good for you.
And here I am,
Yes, good for
having
you.
this conversation with you. But I have to attribute part of my success to some mentors because I was blessed, and I'm pretty sure you would have had mentors too. Because mentors sometimes they look forward, they can see ahead of time, and they can identify an individual who can become their protege. Because, Indira Nooyi, the former CEO of PepsiCo, she once famously quoted that you don't pick your mentors, but your mentors pick you because they're the ones who can see your potential. Talk to us about your mentors.
So mentorship is I would say it's a very recent thing, right? If you're not in a corporate space, then you may not know exactly mentorship, except now in the social media world, we now know. However, I feel that the people today are very lucky because even if you can't get that one-on-one mentorship, for example, from someone who's really great, you could have it through social media. So back in the day when there was no social media, while I was growing up, the best mentorship that you can get for me was seeing my mom. She was running several businesses, and even though there was really no conversation that's really about mentorship, but watching people do what they do, watching people run businesses, solve problems, that resilience makes you want to also say, okay, I can do this. So one is you can get it from family. Second, of course, watching other business people. You have access to the newspaper. Back then, we only had newspaper and TV and radio. But today, for mentorship, you can always look up books, which I love, Steve Jobs and all these great marketing gurus around the world who wrote their intimate, details about how they struggled before they got there. And last would be on social media. There are just so many of them. So, of course, mentorship is also great if you could have it one-on-one from people that you look up to, and they could kind of give an hour of their time. And the best way to do this, my tip for all the ladies or even men out there who are starting off, and you've got this one person that you really know, they're in Malaysia, you can reach out to them. You can reach out to them on their socials and, can I buy you a cup of coffee? This is the most magical word because you never know what kind of conversation you can have with this mentor, even if it's not a continuous mentorship. It could be a one-off, like, hi, I'm about to do this business. I just really love if you could give me just a bit of tips or things that I should be aware
They
of.
could clear some blockages that you've been experiencing, right? Give you
Yes.
some clarity on certain things
Yes.
that you're lacking on.
And don't rely on one. Mentorship is a very magical relationship, right? But it's not one size fits all. So the more people that you have access to, the more people you tell about your ideas, your dreams, your plans, the more it manifests and it will happen. So most often people are afraid that people will laugh at you. People will think, how are you going to do it? But you're so little. But, where are you going to get the money? These are often the things that we're afraid of. Hence, we're afraid to reach out to mentors, afraid to reach out to friends and family, afraid to reach out to strangers and say, hi, I would love to offer my services. Hi, I sell this kind of product. So oftentimes it's fear that stops people from even mentorship or creating. So don't let that stop you. If you're alive today and you're listening to this, do not let anything stop you. You try, you might fail, but you're alive to try again.
Absolutely. It just reminds me of this one recent conversation that I heard between Oprah Winfrey and Arthur C. Brooks, a Harvard professor, because they both co-authored this book, How to Build a Happier Life.
Okay.
And his first quote on that book that really struck my mind was, treat your life like a startup. It is an enterprise. It is as important as a Fortune 500 company that makes billions of dollars a year. Have a systematic approach to it and, pay a lot of close attention to certain things, and it's okay to get help from someone.
Yes, and it's okay to fail too.
fail
So
too.
startups fail, right?
Startups fail. And startups actually, they venture into the world of business with the hindsight of failing. Failing is part of how they evolve and grow.
Yes.
Which moves on to my next question. How do you strike a balance by doing all these great things? You know, you're like a Wonder Woman. So how is it that Anabelle
this,
strikes
this is a wonderful question because a lot of women would ask this at events or
Sure.
when I meet them. And I would tell them, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all the great people around the world, alive or dead, they all had 24 hours in a day, just like you, just like me. And because of that, it reminds us that we're human and that we can make decisions. We may not make the right decisions all the time, but it's up to us to balance that. I need more time with my family. I need to work and hustle really. Like, let's say you're in your 20s. There's nothing else. You are carefree. You have all the energy in the world. Hustle, work really, really hard. The moment I had kids, I knew how to set the boundaries of, look, weekends are off limits. It's usually for my children, for my family, except on certain times, right? You launch new outlets. There are some meetings that you can't avoid. Then you know, okay, let me sacrifice this 1 hour or one day because I know this will bring us very far. So balancing is not a secret. Balancing has no magic pill. It's just simply prioritizing. So a few tips would be put first things first because based on urgency. Second is you just prioritize based on what's important to you right now. Even if I'm talking to you, I can't tell you how to prioritize because maybe for other people, health is urgent right now. For other people, money is urgent. For other people, relationships are on urgency or, you know, on the verge of divorce or something. So treat yourself as how you would treat, let's say, a startup. Again, what comes more important first, but know your core. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much you make, no matter how much millions you make, that will not make you happy. And we all know this. We all know this.
Right. You know, I've had many W talks, and I think, one thing in common between all the women that I've spoken to, this is a common question that we ask, how do they strike a balance? And I think one defining word that you can use to describe is you should be willing to make sacrifices. Sacrifices that matter to you.
Yeah.
Are you willing to make that sacrifice not to be at work, to be with your family? Then do it.
Yes.
You be accountable for it because that's what you want. That's what's important to you. Wow, great. Balance and sacrifice. I'm now today speaking to Anabelle Co-Martinent, a Chief Marketing Officer, and our topic today is shaping the marketing landscape on W Talk. We'll jump in for a quick break, Anabelle.
Yes.
And when we come back, we shall resume with the discussion. Keep it right here on TRAXXfm. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, this is TRAXXfm's W Talk with me, Anil, on the mic, and today we have a special guest in the studios. I'm speaking to Anabelle Co-Martinent. She's a Chief Marketing Officer, and we are talking about shaping the marketing landscape. Anabelle, welcome back to W Talk. Now, let's talk about, challenges and how you built your resilience, because, you can't help but to agree on one fact, that Mother Nature has got a very unique way of making us strong people by throwing challenges to us. But oftentimes we forget about the challenges. We only want to pay attention to the happy times. But the challenges are the ones that actually make us who we are today. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting right here in front of me and sharing your incredible story. So let's start off with the challenges that you faced and how you overcame them, Anabelle.
Challenges are rule of probabilities, right? As the challenge comes, you try to keep solving, and as you keep solving, you become stronger and stronger. So arriving to Malaysia is a challenge in itself. I didn't know what Kuala Lumpur was when I moved here from Singapore. And a lot of Singaporeans warned me about the place. But the moment I got here, I loved it. So again, it is a challenge. So it's glass half full, glass half empty.
Yeah.
And it's up to you. So the challenge stays the same, moving to another country.
Are you a
But
glass half full or glass half empty person?
half full
Half
all
full.
the time.
Okay.
All the time.
High five.
Except, high five. But I'm human. There are days that when you hit the ground,
Yeah.
you're like, OMG,
man.
what is this?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? But being human also means accepting that there are good days and there are bad days. And if we accept that we know all these from we are human, we will all live and die. We all succeed and fail. I think accepting that moment of reality makes you a little bit more calm about the challenges that come your way. So becoming resilient is just about getting yourself up again. Sometimes you need a rest, you need a cry, you need a helping hand. And never be sorry for what you need, right? Whether it's a pause, it's quiet time, it's completely no social media, let's say for weeks or months. So you do you. There are so many ways to pick yourself up, and there are so many kinds of problems in the world, from health, financial, relationships, all kinds. There's just too many. And I've seen many people they struggle to get themselves up again. And I think that is what we hope to be able to do, whether it's radio, whether it's social media, whether it's sending the message out there, or just being a friend. You're trying to get people up so that when the day comes that you are down, there will be a helping hand who will come and help you too.
Anabelle, do you think that part of the problem or the challenge that we as human beings, or some people out there, find it difficult to overcome the challenges is because they often compare themselves to others?
They compare. Yes, this could also be, I would say, this is one of my worries, not just for me, but for the younger generation.
Yeah.
Because social media has blown up.
Exactly, because you know why? Instagram is all about comparing one person to the other, right? It is the oyster if you use it the right way.
Yes.
But it can also be a detriment to you if you let it eat you up. Share your thoughts.
So comparison is always the poison, right? Where it makes you unhappy, even though you're in a fortunate place. And instead of comparing to the bad way, which is, oh, I'm not that rich, I'm not that beautiful, I don't have the same, I don't live in the same neighborhood. Rather than comparing down, comparison can be used in a better way, which I think is called inspiration. You could be inspired to, like for me, I look at J-Lo. She's 50. I'm eventually going to get there. And I would love to look as fabulous as her. So rather than a comparison of, I'll never be her, I don't have private, all these private chef and everything following me, you could always be inspired and say, look, what can I do in my capacity to be able to look close to how she's going to look like when I hit 50. So these are things that we can also do. When we compare, OMG, this is so amazing. They have a beautiful house. They have a beautiful car. They have beautiful children. You can always think of ways of how you can be inspired, or simply just appreciation, right? You don't have to just say, I'm going to be that. It's just, wow, that is amazing. I think that feeling of complimenting others and being positive just brings a lot of positive energy manifestations.
Yeah.
So comparison, we will never, because we are human, we can never stop.
We can never
But
stop.
we can use it for the good
For the
rather than putting yourself down.
Like a famous quote that says, to some person out there, you're an inspirational tale, but to some people out there, you're also a cautionary tale.
Yes.
So you pick which tale you want to be.
Yes.
So the same thing in retrospect, you pick whether you want to pay attention to the inspirational tale or the cautionary tale.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the industry that you're in right now. Can you give us a perspective and, take us to a place and, let our listeners and ourselves understand how much it has evolved over the years?
Okay. So when it comes to marketing,
Yeah.
marketing is always evolving. So back in the day, in my university, long
Your
time ago
varsity
days,
days,
yes,
huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
uni days, marketing was one size. You try to do one brand that cuts across all the countries in the world so that it remains the same. So an example is Coca-Cola and McDonald's. They wanted to have the same look, the same color, the same font, the same renovation at every space that they can so that it stays consistent. Fast forward to today, now places like McDonald's or even Coca-Cola or Starbucks or whatever brand out there, they're trying to be unique because everyone wants a social media story. And when they do a renovation, they do design, they don't mind being different anymore because it gone are the days when you are a small brand or you are a big brand, you had to buy billboards, you had to buy TV, I had to buy radio spots, which I couldn't afford, right? So you were very hungry for branding. But today, even you and me, we are walking brands, right?
Absolutely.
And so we didn't have to go and buy certain spots, a TV spot or a billboard. We could now talk about our brands. We could talk about our personalities. So marketing has evolved tremendously. And being in the beauty and wellness industry, it is the same thing. A lot of the things like the juice business, the food business, the beauty and wellness business, these industries have been around for the longest time. But it has slowly evolved, just like mobile phones, right? I worked for Nokia back then. The mobile phone is gone completely. So if we don't keep evolving, you or your brand will be gone. So if you are running something, whether it's in the beauty, wellness, food, be it services, be it products, be sure to stay in touch with the trends. Be sure to stay in touch with what the customer wants.
Okay.
One thing is trends, but trends may not purchase what you are trying to sell.
Right.
But keep your customers in mind and remember your customers are also evolving. If I was serving you right now, let's say in the beauty industry, I need to understand the 50s and the 40s women, what do they want?
Yeah.
They want value for their time. They're not conscious about freebie promo. Maybe they just want, if I come, better make sure that my appointment is set right. You give me the best products, the best service for 1 hour. Make sure you don't mess up. But for the younger generation, maybe the Generation Z, what they want is, I want a cheaper solution. I don't need the very extreme kind of service yet because my skin is still good. So these are some examples of how you can do marketing and still evolve with the times and keep in touch. And today, you and me were very lucky. We can do research with just a keyboard with our phones. Back in the day, research means paying a research firm, running surveys, running a sample size to get, okay, this is the average and this is what people want. But today, even on WhatsApp, if you had 50 people in a WhatsApp group, you can even do a poll and say, hey, I'm creating a new brand. I'm creating a new service. I'm creating a new facial. What is the highest problem that you have for these women who are, if you're 30s to 40s, please answer this question. So it's never been easier than ever to create a business, to run branding, to run marketing. And I believe that if we're living in today's time, we are super fortunate to be able to be in touch with what works and what doesn't work out there. So find your own fit.
Yeah.
Don't use all because you'll be exhausted, but find your fit. Who is your customer and where are they? Are they on Instagram? If they're the very young, are they on TikTok? If they are the older generation, are they on Facebook? They love sharing, right? Or do you want to be searched up and you find yourselves on YouTube through Google? So understand your customer and then find ways to ride what kind of marketing will get to them. And if you do that, you will never ever fail in terms of keeping up with what they want. And it could be even the old style, word of mouth. It may not even be all these social platforms. There are still, I would say, multi-level marketing or even Tupperware, the old days. Those were still very effective ways of marketing. And even today, even after you see all the social media ads, all the social media influencers posting a place, it doesn't beat a good friend telling you, hey, go check out this thing. It really helped my life. This will help you too.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on the evolution of marketing. That was Anabelle Co-Martinent. She's speaking to us today on W Talk on shaping the marketing landscape. We're going to jump in for another quick break. When we come back, we will wrap up this very inspiring conversation with Anabelle. Keep it right here on TRAXXfm. Everybody, welcome back to Tracks Momentum. This is W Talk with me, Anil, on the mic, and Anil is not alone in the studios. I'm flanked by my very lovely producer, Juliana, and sitting right across from me in the studio is our guest, Anabelle Co-Martinent. She's talking to us about shaping the marketing landscape, and I have to say, this is what I love about W Talk, because I get to speak to inspirational women. And, you know, in life, as men, there's a lot of things we can learn from women too, and we can just, you know, be gaining so much. I speak for the many men out there. We can just squeeze our egos and throw it out of the room and have conversations with them. Because it's like what the promo just mentioned, you know, when women talk, great things happen. Right, Anabelle?
Yes, that's true. That's true.
And I want to savor this great moment by you speaking to the many girls and women out there who are listening. We have a very broad listener base, especially we got a lot of people in Sabah and Sarawak and around the world as well. I want you to speak to them. And this is what I call a seed planting moment, because this is your opportunity to plant some seeds of inspiration for the girls out there. Talk to them.
Okay. Well, thanks for the opportunity. Firstly, if you're a woman, even men, if you're out there alive, healthy, you have every equal chance as anybody in this world. And don't let failure stop you. Don't let fear stop you, because most often those two things are the one that cripples people from following their dream, testing out their ideas. This is often what stops people. And 1% of those people will then go on and really brave up and say, okay, let me go do it. It doesn't matter if people laugh at me, my friends, my family. So remember a few things. If you're about to create something, if you want to go after a dream, work for it and prepare, because not everyone is built to just go on. You need to be financially prepared, physically prepared, mentally prepared. Your family, your partners around you, they need to be able to support you. Financially, you also have to think, if you're going to run a business, you got to have that cash flow or that cash that you put aside that you could burn and learn the lesson. So a lot of these things are often not spoken, right? And there are so many tools out there on socials, on books written that could help you and aid you on what you're about to do. I know you may have crazy ideas. I had a couple of crazy ideas, and it was a lot of hard work.
The crazy ideas that make it big, right?
Yes.
The craziest things that people always look down upon are the ones that end up shaking and, disrupting the wheel, reinventing the wheel.
Yes. And it's true. So if you're doing something very regular, you'll probably wake up and like, but 100 other people, 1,000 other people are running cafes or already doing this beauty service. But if you let that stop you, then you'll never invent something. You'll never create your own brand. You'll never be great. So there's always a twist and a spin to something that's already existing for a very, very long time. And you just have to be more, I would say, attuned to what people want now. The Generation Alpha is coming up. So my son is going to be in Generation Alpha. So understanding what the future wants, even if you're in an old industry, that will evolve. So two brands, Kodak and Nokia, they didn't evolve, and look where they are. They're gone. They're completely gone. My son doesn't probably even know what Kodak is. So this reminds me all the time that I have to, I feel like I'm a dog. I'm always running around, but I'm chasing my tail because I'm always rushing to understand, what do people want now? Where are they watching? How do I be in front of them? How can any of the brand that I invest or that I create will be in front of people? So think about that if you were to create anything. Whether you're a small business, you're a mom who's trying to get back, you're an empty nester, or you're a young girl who's trying to start your yoga business, whoever you are and wherever you are in this world, remember, you and I, we're the same. We've got equal chances. We've got probabilities ahead of us. So always think that, be positive, manifest, and don't be afraid to speak out. The worst thing that can happen is you keep your own passion secret, your own hope secret. Nobody's gonna know. So
Right.
I know people will laugh at you. You'll have friends saying, "Ha ha ha,
Oh, forget
imposter."
about that.
Yeah,
Laugh.
imposter
Imposter
syndrome.
syndrome,
Who
yeah.
are you? Who do you think you are? But with that, let that empower you. That you know what, I am who I am.
Yeah.
I've got this.
You do you,
Yes.
and I'll do me.
Yes.
Right?
You do you. You do yourself.
Yeah.
You have equal chance of doing anything and being successful, just as all the great people out there.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anabelle. This was the most productive 35 minutes of this week thus far. I enjoyed having this conversation with you. And I think you extrapolated, lots of things from this very broad blanket statement that I think many women hear. Go ahead, you can do it, it's very easy, social media and so on. But you put things into perspective today for us. And I'm sure our listeners would have benefited a great deal. And so did I. And so did producer Juliana. And I'm sure Trax would feel the same way as well. Such a pleasure having you today in the studios. And we look forward to having you again. Thank you, Anabelle.
Thank you so much.
All right. And this is one song from Bossa Nova to you. I'm dedicating this to you.
Thank
For a very
you.
sweet woman. Here's Sweet Child of Mine. Right here on W Talk. Trax Momentum. Breaking up to the news in 11 minutes. 12 o'clock news, that is. And then I'll be seeing you back again for another brand new hour of Trax Momentum.